I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Wednesday, December the 21st, brought to you in part by NatureSafe. NatureSafe is Diamond V's most advanced immune support postbiotic for beef cattle. It's natural, non-antibiotic, contains numerous metabolite compounds specifically formulated to optimize health and performance. For more information, go to diamondv.com. Any cattle sales this week? It doesn't sound like it's happening very quick. It'll probably happen here late in the week, but we haven't heard the packers even peep a bit about buying cattle so far this week. They're talking about red ink and cut and kills and all this thing. They're going to need cattle. The only place we've seen them show their head was at Yankton, South Dakota at Stockman's Livestock on Tuesday. They had 2,400 head of fat cattle, and the majors were active and they bought cattle at higher prices, but they really don't want that to get out because they don't want to raise the price on their direct sales, but they're going to need some cattle here later in the week. We haven't seen many feeder cattle sales this week. There were a few on Tuesday, likely very few on Wednesday, and then that'll be it for the rest of the week. But we got one more feeder flash before Christmas, and we're going to tell you the last bit that's going on before we go into the Christmas break. We're going to have a couple of feeder flashes next week during the dead week, just to kind of fill you in on some annual information and things like that, maybe some bred cow sales that are happening. But lighter slaughter this week, we only had 100,000 estimated on Monday, a little better on Tuesday, 124,000, but it's going to be lighter, and likely we're not going to have any kill to speak of at all on Friday, Saturday, and maybe even Monday, because that's the federal holiday for Christmas. But so they're not going to need too many, but they're still going to need a few, guys. They haven't been buying many for the short-term forward contract or for the next 2 to 4 weeks, like we talk about every week. So they're going to need a few cattle. Box beef cutout values have kind of bounced back here the last week or two. They were higher on Tuesday again. And I'm not sure if that's some last minute buying on the spot market for New Year's or what's going on there, but they are getting those pulled back up a little bit, which is not normal. Normally they fade right into Christmas and then build back after the new year, but these packers are going to be really hungry next week, especially if they don't buy hardly anything this week. They're going to be really hungry next week, and it's time to stick your heels in the ground and make some more market position as we go into the new year. But let's talk about your board on Tuesday. December live cattle futures were down 22 cents at 155.05. February down 47 at 155.57. Your back months were mixed from down 27 to up 27 cents. Feeder cattle for January bounced back after Monday's losses, up 152, closing at 183.62 for the January. March up $1.22 at 185.02. Your back months were all higher from 60 cents to $1 higher. March corn, Chicago Board of Trade was up 4 3/4 cents at 6.52. January beans up 17 3/4. Like I told you, they would bounce back after being down big on Monday, but closing regular trading on Tuesday at 14.78 cents a bushel. Like I said, no direct trade at all really to speak of. Fat cattle trade. We did have your brick and mortar cattle auction at Yankton, Stockman's Livestock there. They had 2,000 in overnight, 2,400 head of fat cattle on Tuesday. Your conventional cattle, just your basic fat cattle, were $1.50 higher, from 156 to 161. You're thinking, whoa, wait a minute, we're not getting anything like that in the country. Yes, you have to have competition to achieve those kind of price levels. Non-implanted, drug-free type program cattle were up to 166. I want to show you this picture that Gary Marks sent me. 151 heifers, and he said there'd be a high percentage of prime on them. They were really nice fat heifers, weighed 1528 at 164.50. Box beef cutout values, choice was up $1.22 at 265.05. Select's down big, down 467 at 233.90. Your slaughter just through the first 2 days of the week at 224,000. And I told you we had Tuesday was 124,000 after Monday was just 100,000 with a big major closed. But that 224,000 through the first 2 days of this week was down 22,000 from last week, down 17,000 from the same week a year ago. Cattle on Feed report is going to come out this Friday, and that's kind of odd since we're not going to have any business news really to talk about at the tail end of the week, except for the Cattle on Feed report. And they've got it pegged pretty bullish, but I think they may have left even a little bit more room for a little more bullishness. Inventories for December the 1st, they've got them estimated at 97.1. That's down quite a bit. Placements, which is the big figure, 95.7% of a year ago. And, we've been running some pretty good numbers through November, but your yearlings were really short. And they're always short this time of year, but I think they were more short than usual because there were so many calves that were sold early and went into the feedlot, so we didn't have a lot of yearlings left on the open market. But 95.7% of a year ago, your estimates, the average of the analyst guessed, the analyst guessed from 91.8 all the way up to 98. So there's a lot of leeway in there and more on the bottom side. Marketings for November estimated at 100.9, but we'll have to stay in tune on Friday afternoon as we're getting ready for Santa Claus to see what the actuals come out to be. Feeder cattle market, real-time index on DV auction late in the day on Tuesday, sitting at 176.29, down 94 cents. Everybody's just winding down for the Christmas holiday. And it's not that, we can't do business, but, when they send those cattle to the feedlot, somebody has to process those cattle. And those people have families and they want to spend time with them over the holidays too. So you figure a day or two to get them there. If they let them stand and rest, you're right in the middle of Christmas holidays. So there's just fewer bids out there, fewer guys buying feeder cattle here this close to Christmas. And it's not unlikely that your index and your average of feeder cattle sales is going to be lower. Big sales on Tuesday, Ozarks Regional Stockyard in West Plains, Missouri. 1,600 head through the ring, another 333 on their in-house video that they do with help from DV Auction, which has been working really good for them. They're going to be closed now. They will have a Wednesday Wednesday cow sale, and then they'll be closed next week and reopen on January the 3rd for feeder cattle on the Tuesday after the new year. Calves on Tuesday at West Plains were steady to $4 lower. Yearlings were steady and a light test. Dan Hill, a good friend of mine, a federal state market reporter in Missouri, and I worked with him, and he's very well versed in the art of market reporting. He included the sales in West Plains through the ring, 148,000. You guys think, whoa, no wonder he talks about Ozarks Regional Stockyard all the time. Yes, they're a big sale, big regional market. 148,000 through the ring. That's a lot lighter than they were years ago because they're just lighter numbers of cattle, but still big time sale. But that 148,000 through the ring this year was 14% less than last year, 12% less than than the average of the last 5 years. But they have sold 26,100 head through their in-house video like they do with help from DV Auction, and that's propping their numbers back up. So good for them. They're reaching out and getting receipts where they can. Your Zoetis stick-out sale of the day was Stockman's Livestock Exchange in Dickinson, North Dakota, East Barn. So way up north in North Dakota, they got a lot of snow. They got a lot of snow last week. They got a lot of snow coming here the balance of the week. But I was talking to John Fisher there with the sale barn, and he said they had a little window the last couple of days to get cattle in there, and people wanted to market cattle. And man, did they sell, especially for where they're located on the map, way up there in North Dakota. Look at this automated market report from Cattle Market Central. You look at the best tested weights, 288 head of 4-weight steer calves in Dickinson, North Dakota, averaged 472 with a weighted average price of $229.84. 394 head of the 5-weight steer calves averaged 560, weighted average price $205.93. 704 head of your 6-weight steer calves up there in North Dakota averaged 636 with a weighted average price of $194.98. Check out your best tested weights of heifers and you see they're keeping some heifers back. 247 head of 4-weight heifer calves averaged 472 with a weighted average price of $184.01. And 241 head, your 5-weight heifer calves been well sorted through for replacements, average 555 with a weighted average price of $174.94. Give you a few individual quotes from around the circuit. How about Glacial Lakes livestock there in Watertown, South Dakota? They sold 57 head of 824-pound steers for $184. Big time quote, guys. How about North Platte Stockyards, now being run by the guys at Ogallala Livestock? They sold 62 steer calves, weighed 592 at $231.50, weighing nearly 600 pounds, guys. But the most impressive quote that I saw anywhere on Tuesday, your Mackerson, no BS, top quote for the day, indeed come out of Dickinson, North Dakota, Stockman's Livestock Exchange at the East Barn. And John Fisher sent me this picture here of these 58 head Sim Angus steers, weighed 1040. They had some feed. They're on their way at 177.25. Those were January, February calves, guys, not fully yearlings. And that's your feeder flash for Wednesday.